So you finally got yourself a Series X or S. Now what's next? Maybe you're ready to go ahead and start streaming it directly from your PC to stream games on Twitch, YouTube, or other platforms. So you go on your PC to find your streaming app, the console companion, which is right here. But
you fucked up
because the console companion doesn't work with the Series X or S that you just got yourself. So what's next? In this video, I'll show you how you can start streaming directly from your Series X or Series S directly to your PC and onto your favorite streaming platforms. So let's go ahead and hop into it. What's up, gamers? It's your boy THESHELLBULLET8 back again with another video today. And today we are going to be running down how the Series X and S works as far as streaming to your PC. And then of course, you can use that to stream directly to the platforms that you prefer to stream to. Some people strictly do Twitch, some do YouTube, some do both, some even still use Facebook gaming.
No shit.
When the Series X was first released, there was no way to use the console companion in order to actually stream your Xbox Series X gameplay or Series S gameplay directly to your PC. In fact, the only way that you had to do it, you had to go to some shady website, which in turn actually led you to a shadier link, or so you thought that was the case, until you found the app called the Xbox Game Streaming Test App. Now, the Xbox Game Streaming Test App was no longer supported by Microsoft after about 2019. However, that's kind of not true, because now you can actually find something called just the Xbox app again. Now, if you notice here, let's actually go through my full list of apps. Right here, you'll notice that I have Xbox, the Xbox Console Companion, Xbox Game Bar, and the Xbox Game Streaming Test App. None of these are going to be the one that you actually use, except for this one here, which you can get directly from the Microsoft Store. With the Xbox app, what you'll notice is I'm already signed in. First off, you'll see here, view profile, Xbox Insider Program, settings, etc., etc. Now, if you click on the view profile, your profile will actually come up, and you should see something that actually says add a console. As you'll notice, my Xbox is already connected to the system. And in fact, when you come onto this section, you should be able to go ahead and just click add a console and follow the steps there. Also, it actually shows your full library of games, which is funny to me because I have multiple hard drives on my system, as a lot of you already know, and for some reason I can't get all of the actual games to show in one section. Sometimes it forces me to go through all three of the actual console or the actual hard drives in order to pull up all the games that I own. And I mean, there's a huge list of games that I own and have owned over the years, and it doesn't go all the way back, all the way to some of the first Xbox games and things like that. But you can see this goes all the way back to the old Xbox 360. This game right here, I don't know if any of you remember this. I'm getting nostalgic, but Boom Boom Rocket, that was a fun game. So was Lost Odyssey, of course. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Once you've got this all connected to your console, this is what is actually going to allow you to be able to stream your games directly to your PC through your Xbox Series X or S console. Now, there are a few drawbacks to it. Before getting into those things though, in order to actually stream your console, what you're going to do is click on the three buttons here and click on Remote Play. What you'll notice is that it'll go through this little sequence and it should pull up your console from that point. All right, and I'm already signed in. Everything else, I didn't even have to log in with my normal passcode. But now that we're here, what you'll see is it's actually showing what it's showing on my other screen, which is my Xbox. When you're streaming through the Xbox app and streaming directly to your PC, if you try and download any games, you'll actually notice that the download speed is decreased. Whatever your download speed is, normally, you're more than likely going to be decreased by about 50%, maybe slightly higher, in fact, in some cases, while trying to download games. One of the things I do enjoy, however, is that there's really no issue as far as any latency due to the actual streaming of your gameplay from, let's say, a television or from a television to your PC and while streaming. Now, that's not always the case, however, because I noticed a little bit during certain gameplay, especially with FPSs, which you're already at somewhat of a disadvantage playing on a console and controller as it is. However, there can be some registry issues while you're playing things like Cold War, Call of Duty, Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare, or Warzone. I haven't noticed it too much so in things like PUBG, and not too bad as far as even Fortnite. But to get into some of the drawbacks, since I actually brought Fortnite up, the test app liked to actually take over as your controller because it was meant and built for the cloud gaming purposes, or actually restructured for cloud gaming purposes. Is it the same when using this current app? I haven't actually tested it on Fortnite, but what I can say is that I run into the same flaws with Cold War as I ran into with the test app. And what that flaw is while you're in the middle of actually streaming a game of, anything for that matter, if you go ahead and switch out of your game and go over to Cold War, when you start Cold War up, you have to disconnect from your actual streaming app, the Xbox app, or if you're still using the game streaming test app, which no one should be using anymore now that this one's out, you have to disconnect from the actual streaming, start Cold War, and then you'll actually be able to start the streaming app back up again, or the Xbox app. The reason why I say this is because if you start Cold War in a continuous stream without actually closing or disconnecting the actual app, you won't be able to start the game because your controller will not function at that moment. It's actually not just Cold War. There's a couple of other games that I've actually run into that have had this issue, but that's the one that I run into it the most on. As far as gameplay, most of the gameplay visuals look perfectly fine. There's usually no issue until now. About 2 days ago, I was streaming and I had no issue prior to streaming the games that I had been streaming. One of those games was FIFA 22. If you notice, FIFA 22, there's a huge saturation issue as you're looking at this gameplay versus other gameplay that I'm showing you here. That is actually caused by the app itself. Same thing happens in a couple of other games. There aren't too many, and in fact, I ran through and tested multiple games throughout the creation of this video. If you look here at PUBG seems perfectly fine. What's funny, however, is that there is a slight oversaturation in the color of PUBG, but it doesn't look so bad. In fact, I actually like the color that's happening here on screen versus the color that I'm directly looking at while playing this game. What's really sad is that one of the games I've been streaming lately as a playthrough is A Plague's Tale. A Plague's Tale had been running perfectly fine, and by the way, this is an amazing game, and I was streaming it because I'll be streaming the new one as soon as it comes out, which I've already got pre-downloaded. But the issue is, if you notice the difference in gameplay, This is the regular gameplay. And this here is the current gameplay through the app based on whatever changes were made within the last week. It just looks horrible. This is a horror game, or I mean, considered to be a horror game that's supposed to have darker tones to it. And the only real thing sustaining you throughout the game in most parts is the light when you're near the fire. And looking at the light in these sections here by the fire, it's overly bright, overly saturated, and can cause real issue when you're streaming such a game online. In fact, I went throughout most of my library here in order to test and see whether or not it was games that were specifically made by specific developers, or if it was simply a fluke in a few different games. And what I can honestly say is that seemingly it was just a fluke in a few different games. In fact, I tested multiple titles, including multiple EA specific titles, and whether or not this issue was specific to XS style games, or whether it was something that again was just a fluke in very specific XS games. And overall, what I found is that only FIFA 22 and A Plague's Tale, the XS versions so far, have actually given me this problem. With that in mind, what I have to say is I like this app so much better than what they were actually doing with the test app, which originally, like I said, was the only way to go ahead and be able to stream from console to PC, and a lot of times being able to stream to multiple platforms so that you can, of course, interact with your audience. What I must say is I wish it had been a thing that Microsoft thought this through a little bit better. I think what they did was they decided, you know what, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the cloud gaming platform, and why not make it the actual streaming platform as well, since, you know, it's essentially giving you the ability to play your console games anywhere on any device. The real problem with it, however, is that you run into small bugs and issues and things like that, such as, well, your controller doesn't actually work with the game because the actual app's built-in control system is trying to take over as the primary controller, therefore causing you to take a break in the content that you're actually putting out, and, you know, pulling people out of the actual element of gameplay at that point. Otherwise, though, it's a brilliant idea. It's a great contrast to the old Xbox console companion. And this wasn't meant to go too deep in depth as far as the mechanics of this system, but to give you kind of an understanding of what it's going to require for you to go ahead and be able to stream from your console as far as an X or an S directly to your PC. And of course, giving you the availability to get back online streaming on either Twitch, YouTube, or any other platform you choose. What I will say, however, is that if you are doing that, this does not fix the ability to be able to stream to multiple platforms, and it doesn't allow you just to directly go ahead and stream, you know, directly from your PC without other software. And such software could be something along the lines of OBS or any other streaming software that you found that actually works for you, that you can integrate your stream elements or, again, other platforms into in order to stream your gameplay to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook gaming. Now, in order to be able to stream on multiple platforms in the way that I do, I stream both to Twitch and to YouTube at the same time. That requires yet another third-party style, either app or software, in order to allow you to do that. And that's something that I'll probably jump into on another video. But let me know what you guys think. Have you tried using this as your streaming platform or as part of your streaming in order to get your console to connect to your PC and be able to, of course, stream your gameplay? Or are you using something else? Or are you doing it directly from your Xbox, strictly only to Twitch? Which there is a backdrop to that, because certain cameras will not connect with the Series X or S in order to give you an actual frame, you know, to actually put your face into while you're streaming your gameplay. But beyond that, I think that's going to be all for this video. Again, let me know what you guys think, what you think of the app, if you've used it. Did this help you out? And is there something more that you'd like me to go more in depth with? This was meant to be a short video. Hopefully this helped you out. I'm THESHELLBULLET8. Thanks a million for being here. Please remember to go ahead and like the video, leave your comments, subscribe, and then check out the sponsor at the end of the video, which is no one, but whatever. Hey, thanks a million for being here. I'll see you next time, but for now, I'm out.